Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be doing a long form review of the Makeup by Mario SurrealSkin Foundation. So if you really want to skip to something, it'll be timestamped down below, because I know that not everyone wants to stick around for the whole video. I do a pretty thorough job, and if you want to hear all about it, then I would love to have you watch the whole thing, but I understand your time's important to you, so I would want to respect that. If you are new to my channel is more about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, but this year I do have a budget for review, so the Makeup by Mario is something that I use my review budget for so that I could talk about it on my channel. But if you like content where people are using the same thing over and over again, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video, that's the best way to help me, and I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. There's absolutely no pressure to, just if you would like to. Every person that is a patron at any level gets the same 2 videos that everyone else gets on Patreon. Again, watching this video all the way through and liking it is a really great way to support me. Before we jump into the foundation review, I would like to start up front to tell you about my skin type and my preferences when it comes to a foundation, so you can see my biases about maybe how this foundation performs throughout the video. I have oily skin. My biggest problem area would be like redness, but I don't have a lot of texture. I don't really break out. I'm not acne prone or anything like that. I also am 32 years old. I don't really have any like true visible signs of aging yet, but it's something that I'm very cognizant of. So I do really like to look for formulas that are elegant enough that as I age, they continue working for me. And my preferences when it comes to foundation, I typically like a really light coverage foundation, like light to medium. And I really like for it to do more blurring. That's more what I'm concerned about. I love formulas that really refract light and make it look like your skin is more perfected as opposed to covering up imperfections. I would just like things to look more imperceivable. You know, I have larger pores too. That's something I'm also looking for a foundation to take care of whenever I'm using it. I do have a couple segments that I like to do, and one of the segments is I like to do a different application methods with the foundation. So I'll do a sponge, a hand, and a brush application, and I also do a wear test. I don't do any of those with concealer, but I do use primers and powders. The reason I apply it all 3 ways is I like to see if the formula would work for anyone who would want to apply it that way, because sometimes formulas don't agree with all application methods, and so you need to know that before you buy it, and that's why I do that. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about why I bought it. Now, I already said at the beginning of this video that I did purchase this for review. It definitely was a foundation that I was a little interested in. I saw it get released at the end of last year, and I was like, I'm kind of interested in that because right now I have an opening for a foundation. I am a content creator, I'm aware of that, but I do like to cycle through foundations, so I like to cap it at 4. Currently, I only have 3 foundations, so if I do find a 4th one when I'm doing reviews this year, I would love to have one to keep in my collection. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this automatically gets added to my makeup collection. If it doesn't work for me, I will find someone who will love it and adore it and use it more than me. So that's what I'm going to do with it if it shouldn't work out for me. A couple of my subscribers did show interest in this foundation, and since I was also sort of interested in it, it seemed like the best thing to do for my channel was to purchase this for review. So that is why I purchased this foundation. But I don't think if I was a makeup channel that this would be one that I would have run out to buy. I'm just gonna run through some facts about it, that just some bullet points. So it's $42. You get 1 fluid ounce of product. It comes in 30 shades. It's a liquid formula. It's supposed to be hydrating, and it's long wearing and has medium coverage. So those are all some of the shorter claims, but now I'm going to read the claims from Makeup by Mario's website to really get into the nitty-gritty of it to see if what they say about it feels true at the end. Mario's foundation reveals skin's natural luminosity. Featuring moisture grip technology, the foundation hydrates skin for 12 hours and glides on easily for customizable coverage. Layer it on or sheer it out. The buildable formula works harmoniously with powders and creams to recreate Mario's signature techniques while staying true to its original color. Available in 30 flexible shades. So we will come back to those claims a little bit later. But something I really like to do whenever I am talking about a foundation is kind of look at the ingredients. Now, while we talk about the ingredients here, I'm never trying to do this in a fear-mongering way for you. I'm not trying to say that any ingredient is inherently bad or any ingredient is inherently good, but I think it's one of those things that it's just like important to know ingredients, because you might learn your preferences with ingredients. Like you might figure out that ingredients work really well for you, and so you want to look for those in formulas, and sometimes you know what you're trying to avoid. So I always just think it's important to look. I don't subscribe to clean beauty, but it's okay if you do, and it's up to you to do that kind of due diligence if that's something that you're interested in doing. But I feel like people who are very into clean formulas know what they're looking for to avoid. This is more or less just to see if I find anything like pretty interesting about this foundation through its formula. So there were a couple highlighted ingredients on Sephora's website. So it said grapeseed oil and vegetal squalene, and those both provide restoring moisturizing benefits. And there's also perfecting powders. Those work with the skin's natural texture for a smooth, enhanced skin. So the grapeseed oil and the vegetal squalene are both very close to the bottom of the ingredient list. If you're not familiar with how the ingredients on the back of a package work, the first ingredient has that, the product has the most of that, and then as you go down, it's less and less. So they're using these as selling points, but they're like lower on the ingredient list. But I find that that's pretty common whenever you're going through star ingredients. They're never normally at the top. There's like less of them. What I do appreciate is that the skincare ingredients are more for the performance of the foundation and aren't being advertised to you for skincare, because I do think that foundations like do need things that are like hydrating and like good for your skin in that way. But I think like ingredients like niacinamide or like brightening ingredients or other things like that are completely unnecessary in a foundation because it's just too much. So I really kind of appreciate that. It feels like all of the ingredients in the star ingredients are more performance based being highlighted as opposed to being like, it's good for your skin. And not to say that some foundations are better for your skin or some foundations are worse for your skin. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just feel like right now, more recently, we're just so into this thing where it's like, it's all has skincare benefits to it. And I use skincare for my skincare benefits. And how many layers can this ingredient penetrate? Because I've washed my face, I have serums, I have moisturizer, I have a primer on, I have SPF on. So how's the skincare in my foundation going to get through all of that? Like, how is it going to do that? Like, I don't know. I don't think that's truthful. But there were two ingredients that I did want to shout out. One, because I had never seen it before, and then two, because I found it interesting. So many people try to avoid talc. I think when people are looking for cleaner formulas or just looking to avoid talc in general, because it's questionable how we get talc and like possible dangers of using talc. So it's like one of those ingredients that people both looking for clean formulas and not are looking to avoid. So this formula has boron nitride. It's a synthetic inorganic powder, which in cosmetics has absorbent properties similar to those of natural powders, such as talc. So this is like a talc alternative to me, which means that this formula was also designed with people who have oily skin in mind to help control oil throughout the day. Now, I do have a wear test, and so this kind of gets brought up, and we'll circle back to this at the end of the video too as well, when I'm going through my final thoughts and like trying to break down the claims to seeing if they're truthful. But I thought that was a notable ingredient, and on all of the websites that I saw this ingredient on, I do use a couple different websites to try to figure out what each ingredient does, if it potentially is viewed as harmful. But talc normally is on these websites is like, has a little bit of a red flag. It has like a little bit of a red flag, but it's one of those things that feels really personal and you need to make your decision about how you feel about talc before you proceed. But all of them rated this as good. Now, I'm not sure how this is made. It is inorganic, so it definitely is like lab made, which might be better overall as far as like mining for talc and all of those things. So it's one of those things where it's just like, is it better? But it is interesting. It was just like an interesting ingredient that I felt like I should share with you. And it also has coconut alkanes. And these are derived from the reduction and hydrogenation of fatty acids from coconut oil. It functions as a solvent and skin softening emollient. It is often used in tandem with cocoa caprylate or caprate as a silicone alternative. And that ingredient is also in this formula. So I do believe that on top of the regular silicones, this is also in there to perform as a silicone. The formula is alcohol free. Alcohol is like not something that I'm particularly concerned about. I just think it's interesting that we're putting it in skincare when it feels to me that most of us are like moving away from like alcohol products even in our skincare. So it's just like, why would we be putting it into our foundations at this point? It just feels like, what are we doing that for? As I just previously mentioned, this does have silicones in it. So if you try to avoid silicones or you don't like the feeling of a silicone-based product, then I would avoid this. So this formula does have mica in it. So just know that it's not like super high on the list, but it's not super low on the list either. And it comes up later whenever I am applying the foundation. So I just want to keep that in your mind as we progress through this review. Now I'm going to send you over to some footage that I have already previously recorded of me testing this foundation. So I apply the foundation 3 different ways. The first day I do a hand application, I do a sponge application, and then on the third day I do a brush application. And then I also do an 8-hour long wear test to see how the foundation wears. Again, I don't wear any concealer throughout these, and I do use primer and powders because whenever I do wear foundation, I use primers and powders. So I think it'd be disingenuous of me to do a foundation review where I'm not applying those things, because that's how I like to apply my makeup, and that's how I would like for this to perform. So that is why I do that with primer. I do normally adjust primer if I don't like a primer the first day. If like the foundation doesn't work out for me the first day, I try to switch up primers throughout the time that I use it to see if it works any better with any of my other primers. This one actually, I end up using the same primer all the way through, but I explain why after the first day. So I'm going to send you off to the first day of application, which is kind of like my first impressions opening the product and interacting with it, and then it goes into the application. And then I'll see you for my final thoughts on the other side of this. It's first impressions time for the Makeup by Mario foundation, and we're gonna also apply it with our hands. So that's what we're gonna get into. Let's talk about it. So this is the component. This is the box that it comes in. Very, very sleek, and there is, oh, I think I have the carton inside. I did open it just to make sure that everything was okay. I guess it should be like this. Let me put the component back together so you can see it. There is like a sliver on the side for you to be able to see the shade, and the shade is also on the top. I got the shade 2N, which is the lightest neutral shade. It smells like Sephora, which I know like doesn't really, like it, the box smells like Sephora. It came from a Sephora. I ordered it from Sephora, and I actually quick side note, Sephora now offers same-day shipping. There's a free trial of it. So I just did the free trial of it to get it so I could get a review out faster for this. It's something that I might consider keeping if I continue doing reviews from Sephora products, but it's just like one of those things. Anyway, so the box is super sleek. It's like almost like every other Makeup by Mario packaging, like the classic matte container. This is what the bottle looks like. So there we go. That looks dark. We do this every time. That looks dark, but we'll see. We'll see. The shade finder on Sephora was like, you're 8N. And I was like, that's not true. There is no world in which I am 8N. Anyway, has just a traditional pump going up here. And this is a glass container. So that's the experience of holding it. It feels nice. It feels good in the hands. I'll just say that. It feels nice to hold. It feels good. And it actually looks really good. I kind of like this silver going on it. And you know, I did use this on my eyes today. So like, if we intend on continuing down this more like luxury feeling container, I would dig it. Also, if you are a makeup artist, the see-through container, like the glass container, will make it easier to see in your kit if you were taking full bottles. I know most makeup artists who are working in the industry will depot them. So, but I also, anytime I'm like thinking about or talking about a Makeup by Mario product, I do feel as though that he makes things with both the consumer and the makeup artist in mind. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Although you probably wouldn't want to lug around multiple glass containers of foundation in this size. So let's see what the consistency of it is. Okay, it's pretty thick. Doesn't look like as bad of a match outside of the container, but man, was I really worried about it for a second. So it's looking pretty thick. No discernible smell. Can I smell things? I was recently exposed to COVID. So I'm like, maybe I can't smell things, but I could smell everything else I was doing today. I baked earlier, so it's like, we're good. I could smell, but I'm like, okay. It doesn't smell to me. As I always do when I'm applying a foundation, I'm going to apply it with my hands first. And because it's a new foundation and I don't know how I feel about it, I'm going to be using the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. The reason I always start with this as the first primer that I try out with a foundation is this is like the most neutral primer. It makes your skin feel really nice and look really nice, but it's not doing anything to alter what the finish of this foundation might be. So it's just like a very nice neutral skin prep. It does have some gripping properties to it, but I'm not testing the longevity of it today. Let me just put this on real quick. As always, I'm going to apply it to half my face, then I'll check in with you, and then we'll move on to the other side. It's not a bad match. It's more coverage than I'm used to. So here I am, half the face done. And the other half, no foundation. Ooh. Ooh. But yeah, I do feel as though it doesn't clash with my neck. It looks good. So it's a good match. It's just my face is very red today and it's just a little bit different of a formula. Okay, let me put it on the other side of my face and we'll continue talking. I'm gonna zoom you in so you can take a closer look at what the skin's looking like. Let me just take a closer look. I don't have my contact lenses in, so I am going to be wearing glasses with this today. My skin looks good. Okay, so I don't always look at the ingredients before I put things on for the first time, but I got this in the middle of my work shift and I just kind of read the back of it while I was waiting. So there is mica in here. I guess I thought this was a natural finish foundation, which I could be wrong about. I had just heard a couple people say it was really good, and then I was like, well, I would like to try it. I'm surprised at how shiny it's looking. And that's to say that it's not like the Bobbi Brown is normally makes anything. This looks like as if I have put the Merit Great Skin underneath it, and I haven't done that yet, which I'm a little bit confused by because I can't see a makeup artist wanting this to be the finish of the foundation before they've altered it at all. But it looks really good. It looks really great on camera, at least from what I can see. I really can't see. I can't really see my monitor. It also looks really nice in real life. Yeah, it's interesting because it's covering, and it is more coverage than I'm used to. This feels definitively medium. Maybe something where you could work it too on the fuller side of medium. But yeah, this is much more coverage, but it still kind of looks like skin. I'm going to powder with both of these Charlotte Tilbury powders. I'm going to do that to one half of my face and then we'll check in to see what it looks like with the powder on it. I will be skipping on the Chantecaille Perfect Blur just so I can keep a more finish to what it's supposed to look like. I always use powders when I wear foundation too, so I feel like that's also part of something I'm going to do in my wear testing. So let me apply this real quick. And I did not put any concealer on, so this is just the foundation speaking for itself. I'll just zoom you back in so you can take a look. Here's the side with the powder on it. I still feel like you get some of the luminosity from the foundation, but obviously, I mean, powder is always going to take down the shine, but I do feel as though on its own, it's a little bit shinier than I was expecting. It's a lot more than I was expecting it to be, I think, at all. I was expecting more coverage than I'm used to, but I just feel like there's a lot of more happening, and I can't quite place my finger on all of the more that's happening. I'm going to finish the rest of my face, powder the other side of my face, and I'm going to use only powder products on top of it. And then I don't have any good natural light today. It's been rainy all day, but I will show you an overhead light what it looks like when I am done. Okay, I will show you that just now. I meant to talk about the actual experience of applying it with my fingers. When I first pumped it out, it looked really thick because it didn't really move, but it worked in very beautifully with my fingers. I actually really liked applying it with my fingers, and I could see myself applying it this way again. It was nice. It worked nice. It felt beautiful. It felt really nice in the fingers. A little silicone-y, but not super duper slippy, just wow, it's an interesting formula. I don't know that it's any formulas that I have tried recently. I was it almost is mucusy, but maybe it's not. I don't mean that in a bad way. There's just something silky. Silky is a better way to describe it, not boogery. Silky, just very silky. Feels really nice. Also, I didn't even use that full pump that I put on the back of my hand. I still have some left. So a little got me very far with pretty impressive coverage. So I just wanted to come back and say that before I sent you off to that other footage. Here we are in overhead light with the Makeup by Mario foundation. I don't really like it in this lighting. I liked it better in the other lighting. I feel like I'm looking a little sickly over here. But I don't think that this is a bad, I really don't think that this is too light. This, okay, it looks better over here. But now I'm not really under the light. But like under the light, it looks sickly. But over here, it's fine. I don't know about that. Okay, now I'm very curious to see what it looks like in the daylight because that was worrisome. Okay, well, I'm about to film a video, so you'll have already seen this look at the time of this video. So let's go on to day 2. Okay. I do have something that happened after I finished yesterday that I want to talk about. I did mention even whenever I first looked at the package that there is mica in this product. Now I didn't feel like my face looked particularly sparkly, but I did a hand application. And you know how like when you swatch eyeshadow and you like look at your hand and you see like the remnants of like what really the shadow looks like? I looked at my hand and it was sparkling back at me like Edward Cullen did in Twilight. It was so sparkly. And I was, video messaging some of my friends and they were like, you look wet. So no, that's what you might be getting into. I feel like I didn't look wet. Maybe I did. I don't know. But it's day 2. We're going to apply it with the Wet Dampened Beauty Sponge today. That's a new beauty blender. And I needed one. Because of the shininess of this foundation, I'm going to stick with the Bobbi Brown. Sometimes I like to explore oil bases. I just don't think that would be wise with this foundation because then I'm gonna be really oily. It's almost feels like it's almost as if I already had something like the Auric Glow Lust mixed in, but instead of just being like, I don't know, because I feel like with the Glow Lust, I don't even know if there's mica in the Glow Lust. I imagine there would be because it's a shiny thing, but like I never feel like my hands look like they're covered in sparkles after using the Auric Glow Lust, and I do feel that way after using this, but it kind of gives you the same effect as if like that's already mixed in. I mean, I'm gonna try it. Like I'm definitely gonna like mess around with it before my final review, before I like record that so I can like report to you, but I'm afraid to do it. And that's me. I like looking shiny, but let me prime my face and then we will get to application. So I'm going to take a pump and see how far that gets me with the sponge today. So I'm gonna do half my face like I did yesterday and then we will check in. We're at the halfway mark. Okay, I'm gonna finish my face. Here we are, completely applied. I'm going to zoom you in so you can take a look at it. This is what it looks like. Yeah, so I do look wet. I look wet. I'm really afraid of what it might look like if I start mixing other things with it. But like, I look wet. I just think this choice to have the finish like this is a bizarre one. So kind of as always when I'm using a sponge, this used more. I used a pump and a half for my whole face, including through the beard. Used a little bit more. I used one pump yesterday and I still had some left over and I like kind of applied that to the places I wanted to. I feel like I have more even coverage with the sponge today. I just feel like I look like a little less of my redness is poking through, so maybe a little more coverage today. I'm still not used to this amount of coverage. It still feels like a lot of coverage to me, but that's just because this is not my comfort zone when it comes to coverage. There's that. And I also meant to report that yesterday, all of the powder products worked well over top of it. Nothing lifted, nothing shifted around. So today I'm going to be using creams on top of it. Again, I have no natural light. I'm going to try to get you some good, like, in the sun natural light so you can see what this foundation looks like. I also would just like to see it in the sun based on how shiny I look. Just like, I look so shiny. I know in the last clip I said I had been exposed to COVID. I tested for COVID this morning. I don't have it as of now. I'm going to test again tomorrow because I'm supposed to go do something. So we will see. I'm going to apply the cream products and I'm going to show you an overhead lighting again. There's that. That's that. I'm going to finish this look off camera and then I will see you tomorrow for the brush application. All of the creams went on just fine. Nothing like lifted or anything like that. But the funny thing was, this is the Westman Atelier Lit Up Highlight Stick in Nectar. And what I will tell you is I probably didn't even need to put it on because it kind of just looks the same as the foundation did before I put that on. So there's that. So now I'm a little bit out of under it. We're gonna go under it. I didn't like it. I don't like it under the lights. And I understand that like it's not the best lighting, but I just feel like this is the worst a foundation has ever looked when I've done these tests under the light like this. And I'm wondering if it's because of the mica light is reflecting up instead of like back at you. Like, I don't know what it's about, because it's like when that's under the lights and here I am like where the lights are coming more at the front of my face. Mario, we work in offices. What do you think does this look good? I don't know. I'm so confused. Okay, it's time to do a brush application of the Makeup by Mario foundation. I just want to get into it. We have some daylight up today. We have some daylight. So when I say daylight, it's sunny out. So I'm going to throw this on and try to get some footage of us in the sun. And I'm also going to, take some video of my hand like I did, like how I could see the sparkle on the first day on my hand after I was done filming. I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna see if I can get some of that going just so I can show it to you. I would like for you to see that. And I am using the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base again. I just think everything else will be too much for it. And that's, again, coming from me, the queen of sheen, the queen of glow, the glow queen. The Queen de Glee glow. Okay, let's get started. We'll do the right half of my face, check in, and then we'll see where we are from there. Half of it with foundation, half with not. Okay, let me finish the rest of my face. Here we are, fully applied, full face. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what we're working with. So I'm not going to actually powder this today because I want to see what it looks like in the sun without the powder. You know what's probably a better idea? I'm going to powder half my face and then we'll go up into the natural light and then we'll look at it together. Used one pump for today. It went on beautifully with the foundation brush. Wasn't my favorite application method. I would actually say that my hands were probably my favorite way to apply this foundation, but none of them were bad. I would do all of them again. Probably not the sponge. That's just like not my preferred way of applying things. I just normally don't apply complexion products with a sponge. I keep one on hand just in case I feel so inclined, but it's like not my usual thing. So I'm going to powder the right half of my face and not the left half of my face. And then we're gonna go take a look at it in the sun together. Okay. So unfortunately, the sun is behind clouds and now it doesn't look like it's gonna come back. But this is what we're looking like in the natural light. I really wish we had direct light. I would like to demo how sparkly this was. Okay, the sun came out, so I'm trying to like, this is the powdered side of my face. And the unpowdered side of my face. And the glitter, I really don't think that this camera is going to be delicate enough to pick it up. But this is what it looks like, direct sunlight. I have nothing else on, like no, it's just the foundation, but this side is powdered. It is wear test day. I've already popped on my eye look, but we have to put on, where is it? The Makeup by Mario foundation. I'm gonna continue on. I like the way it looks with the Bobbi Brown primer. I'm gonna experiment with this a little bit, but I don't think I would do any of my normal things with this foundation, like, mixing in the Aura Glow Lust or anything like that, because it's just like, she's very shiny on her own. So I'm gonna apply my makeup, and when I'm done, I will report back to you here, and we'll take a look at it, and then we'll wait 4 hours and check in, and then we'll wait 8 hours total, not 8 hours from the check-in, and then we'll see how it wears. Okay, I'm going to put on everything, but I am using the Bobbi Brown. I'm going to use a brush to apply it today. All right, enjoy this speed through of the motion. Do you like the pink? Are you into the pink? We got some pink going. I'm just saying. You asked for this. Also, while I'm doing my makeup, I will be watching Fat Sajak. We have the foundation fully applied. What time is it? How long do I need to wear this? Okay, it's about 11, it's 11:25. Yes, I'm watching a drama video. It's fine. So around 7:30 tonight, we will do the final check-in, but here's what we're looking like. I actually did not, because of the finish of this foundation, I did not use Fix Plus, which I usually do when I'm wearing a foundation, but I'm finding that just with this finish, I don't need it. Also, I tried, okay, I'm gonna just talk about this because it's like the first time I used it. This is the first time I used the Tower 28 mascara, and this is just one coat. It's pretty wild. All right, I will see you in 4 hours. Ooh, I just shoved down a hot dog down my face. We have the luxury, I'm in my room today. Normally I do my wear test during my work day because it helps me keep track of 8 hours. Oh my God. I just had some food. I'm gonna zoom you in so you take a look. Also, I just need to say that I understand why everyone loves this mascara. It's kind of a slay. And I mean, like, I know that this is, like, not the video for that, but, like, I'm just letting you know. Okay, like, what do you guys think about all the pink that I'm wearing, though? I'm wearing pink. As you all know, this foundation is already glowy. We've kind of, like, discovered that the past couple of days. I would say I am oily. I would say that most of this shine, maybe less what's happening here between, like, on the corners of my nose. Everything else is just the foundation. It's actually, I feel like it's controlling my oil quite well. And I don't want to attribute that actually to the powders because I've used these powders with other foundations and this one's not really oil control for me. This is more of like a setting situation. But like, this one is not like the best at oil control. It's like a really, really beautiful powder, but it's like not like a mattifying kind of powder. Like, of course it does mattify because it is a powder. I think that this foundation has like some incredible oil control. The problem might be, my friends, is that I still look oily. This glow is all coming from the foundation. Like, it's all coming from, like, normally at this time of day, I do have like some oils break through, but it's like not what's happening. Because if that were the case, it would look different. The other theory we could run with is I am oily and I look the same, but I don't really see it. It's not really breaking up on my face anywhere. So it's like, it's a sturdy foundation so far. Like, it still looks good. It looks like the way it went on, but it's just like, it's so specific. Also, just to confirm, where's my phone? It's 3:51, so it's been a little over 4 hours. But it's impressive oil control for being this far, but I still look, I still look oily. I'm so confused by it. I'll see you in 4 more hours. Okay, bye-bye. So it's been 8 hours, and I have some things to report, but let me show you what the foundation's looking like so far. Here's the time. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you in. I'm gonna let you take a look. Honestly, I think this held up and looks pretty good. My oils are definitely coming through now. At the 4-hour mark, it was like still holding up pretty well, but now it's definitely like my oils are coming through as well as the foundation just being more luminous. I'm just going to powder my face to see if it bounces back. I'm sure it's going to, but you know, sometimes you start looking musty and crusty whenever you powder and it doesn't really look very good. Powdered, not powdered. I'm gonna powder the other side of my face just for the sake of it, but I do have to report something. So about 2 hours ago, or like an hour and a half ago, while I was wearing this, it started feeling a little bit tight on my skin, which is not something I normally feel, and it's feeling a little bit itchy, but not like as if I'm like having a reaction. I just think that it's not like I don't want to exaggerate the experience, right? I just am saying like maybe I'm sensitive to something in it and it took a bit to get to my skin, but like I did start feeling like a little bit itchy. It's like a little uncomfortable, almost like a little bit heavy, but it didn't feel that way until the end of the day. And it doesn't look heavy. I don't feel like my skin looks heavy. I still feel like it's a pretty seamless foundation. Like it matches, all those things are still true. But like I did get a little bit itchy, which is not great. I also think that something that should be taken into consideration too, I haven't worn foundation for like this long in a little bit of time, like since the Charlotte Tilbury foundation wear test. So that could also be it. It's just like I haven't worn foundation this long in a little bit of time. I'm saying that to tell you just in case, but I'm also saying it with the caveat of like it could just be my makeup wearing habits. Like most of the time when I'm wearing foundation, most of the time is for a much shorter period of time than this. I typically am like doing it for videos and then I just kind of wear it for the rest of the night, or I do it for, a night out and then I just wear that out. So it's like, that's how long I'm normally wearing makeup. So it could be a number of things. So I don't want to blame it explicitly on the foundation. Anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there, but I do think that this wore beautifully. Like I actually think this wore like better than expected based on like what the what the formula has been like to apply the past couple of days. It's like so strange. Have a feeling that this is something that if I keep it around, I like might find value in it a little bit more. That's like something to consider in my final thoughts. Like I don't know that I'm like done with this foundation. Like I still think that like I do want to put out the review and I'm going to put it out, but I still think that I'm going to be like testing this because sometimes you just need more time with a product. But I think that doing my review with the initial thoughts that I have and feelings about it will be good. But I think that we're going to want to stick around to see how I'm feeling about it after some time. And so for that reason, I'm going to like keep it in my foundation drawer for a little bit of time, but I'm still not saying that I'm like keeping it, right? Like I just think that I need some more time with it to like learn it even more. We're here for the final thoughts and I feel like I have them, but I also feel like inconclusive about it all. So at the end of my wear test, if you skipped right to the results, at the end of the wear test, right before this part of but the segment right before this, I talked about how I feel like I still need to continue interacting with it. I've been wearing it for a week and I haven't decided really how I feel about it. So I'm going to like try to work through those feelings with you a little bit here at the end of this video. So first thing I'm going to do is like, let's go back to the claims and let's see how I feel about what they said. It says that it's naturally luminous, and I would say that if you watched any of the footage or if you look at my face today, it is naturally luminous. And I would like to point out that I am wearing a highlighter, but I don't put highlighter down here or around my nose, and I am powdered. So yes, it's luminous, but I think part of this claim, I'm going to argue that this is too luminous. And I'm saying this for a reason. Whenever I think of, and I talked about this earlier in the video, but I just want to like come back to this thought. Whenever I think of a makeup artist designing their own formula, when I think of makeup artistry, and again, arguably Mario is making this for the consumer, but I also think that this also applies here. So let me just work this out with you. I think that it should be like something that's a very beautiful formula that like blurs and enhances skin and has whatever amount of coverage. I think that they can make whatever coverage that they prefer to work with. I think that's great. So that's all good. But whenever it comes to finish, I think that you go more middle of the road, more skin finish, maybe even verging on soft matte, and then allow makeup artists, allow yourself as a makeup artist who is using the makeup as a tool to alter it to how they see fit for whatever they're using that foundation for. And I guess that's kind of what I was expecting from this. I was expecting it to be like more middle of the road. And Sephora lists it as a natural finish, and I don't know that this is a natural finish at all, because I think what this looks like to me, it looks like to me whenever I take another foundation, like a foundation that lands more lands less dewy than this when I put something like Glow Lust or the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter in and make it like glowy for myself. And I don't always do that every application. It's a preferred finish that I like, but I think that this finish is too polarizing to make it your first foundation. It feels like a second option, and it also feels like an option that like not everyone's going to want. While I don't think the foundation is bad, and I don't think it looks bad, I think a lot of people will have a problem with how shiny this foundation looks. And I even think arguably people with dry skin will feel like it's like too luminous. I do feel that way. I do feel that way. Also, before we move on and before I forget, at the end of yesterday's clip, I had talked about how my skin felt a little bit itchy. It was all through my beard, and then I washed it off, and then my face was still itchy in my beard area, which just means that the hair on my beard was bothering me, and that was what was causing that irritation. But I did feel a little bit of tightness. That was truthful. I think that is related to the foundation, but I don't think that the itchiness that I was experiencing yesterday was related to the foundation. So I just wanted to clarify that before we move on. But I felt like it was important to leave in because it was something that I experienced. But after I was done filming for the day, I found out that that was not true. So I would not take that and run with it as like I felt itchy because of the foundation, because it's not happening today. The second claim that I would like to talk about is it features moisture grip technology. The foundation hydrates skin for 12 hours and glides on easily for customizable coverage. Layer it on or sheer it out. Moisture grip, I would say that is truthful. As someone who has oily skin, what foundations typically like to do on me is they like to go on a journey. As like non-quality formulas. And I do find that luminous and light formulas tend to be the kinds of formulas that travel on my face. And I found that this stayed in place. In fact, I didn't even really see my oils break through until after the 4-hour mark. And that is very uncommon for me because I did not want to attribute it to the powders because I've used those powders before and they don't keep my skin matte through the whole day. So I was really impressed with the way that this actually did stick on my face and didn't move around in my wear test. And I was really impressed with what it looked like and how it did control my oils. I wonder if that could be attributed to the boron nitride that we talked in the ingredients section about. And if that's the case, I have used foundations with talc in them. I'm wondering if this is more effective than talc or maybe there's just more of this than talc in foundations that I have tried in the past. And also something that I would like to commend Mario on is normally whenever you have like powders in a foundation, things that are to control oil throughout the day, that is typically whenever you find that oxidization problem, that problem where like the foundation shifts color. And I felt like the foundation looked the same color at the end of the day in my wear test that it did at the beginning of the day. So I didn't feel like it alters its color throughout the day, which is very commendable. The thing that I would like to maybe argue against, it says layer it on or sheer it out. I really wasn't trying to use a lot of this product whenever I was using it. And with my fingers, I used a pump. My sponge, I used a pump and a half. And whenever I did it with my brush, I used a full pump as well. And I would say this is like less than I normally use. So a little does go a long way. But I never felt that I could sheer it out. It definitely always kind of looked medium to full coverage whenever I was using it. And it didn't really matter how much I used. And obviously, I want to cover my full face because I like to have like an even canvas. And I know that some people would like to spot conceal. So maybe if you're using it like that and you're literally just shearing it out, that might work. But I felt like with my hands, my sponge, and my brush, I got the same amount of coverage. And typically with your fingers, you get a little bit lighter of a coverage. And while I do feel like it was a little bit lighter, it was much more coverage than I was expecting. I felt like whenever I was doing the sponge, I had to go back in more. So I felt like I don't know that it goes as far as it says it goes on your face. Like it just felt like every other formula I've ever used, it performed just like that. I don't feel like it went any further, which I feel like the claim here is kind of trying to say. I talked about the powder already, and so this part of the claim is like powders and creams to recreate Mario's signature techniques while staying true to its original color, so I just talked about that. And available in 30 flexible shades. I don't know about flexible. I don't think flexible. I would say probably not flexible. Because my argument against it being flexible is this. It felt very full coverage to me for two reasons. I normally wear really light coverage foundations, so this was like a lot of coverage for me, but it felt more than medium. It felt like we were on the other side of medium. Maybe not an absolute full coverage, but we were like coverage. There was a lot of coverage of this foundation. And whenever we're talking about that amount of coverage, flexible, I feel like, is not at play here. And I don't feel like this formula has any of the qualities that other formulas say whenever they're like transformative, where like a couple shades work for a couple different skin tones and undertones. I don't think you're going to get away with that with this foundation. So I wouldn't say that that's flexible. I wouldn't say that you could flex into another shade. Like, obviously, if you have a tan, you might flex into another shade, but like, you probably wouldn't be able to use your winter shade in the summer. So it's not feeling like that kind of flexible for me. So I think that that claims a little bit stretch of the truth there. Now I just want to kind of like, let's talk about it. Let's see where I land. I just want to like talk about it a little bit more. Like I said, I think that this is a very specific foundation. And if you are into looking like this all of the time, just super luminous, I would say you will like this, but you have to want it every day. So and I'm kind of talking about this, if you were someone who is watching this review and you were looking for your one true foundation, this doesn't feel like the right choice to me unless you really like this look, unless you've like played around with makeup long enough to truly know that this is the desired effect for you every time. I would say that this is like, it's not for people who don't know what they want. That I don't think this is like a baseline zero kind of foundation. This foundation is really for people who love to mix and match their foundation with like luminous things, but it's all done for you. It's like pre-mixed. It's like as if auric and something else were mixed together, and then that's what you're applying to your face. But they've already done it for you, and they've decided how much of each thing they're putting it in for you. So if you're that kind of person, then like you might like this and find a lot of value in it. But what I like about having two separate products, like my foundation with my highlighting product, is I get to decide how much of this I put in any day. So sometimes I want to put a full pump in. Sometimes I want to put a half pump in. Sometimes I want to put a quarter pump in. Sometimes I just want to use this as highlight. And you can't really do that with this. The finish is the finish that it is. You can't change it really, because even when you put powders on it, I have powders on it right now, it still has that finish where it's just extremely kind of glossy looking. And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who would really like this. It just, for me, just feels like such a strange, specific choice to have made. If you have oily skin and you wanted to look like this, I would say that this is a good one to try. I felt like it controlled my oils really well, and that was surprising to me. In my 4-hour check-in, whenever I didn't really have that much oil coming through, that was really astonishing to me, because normally at the 4-hour mark, you can start seeing my oils break through, and that really wasn't happening with this foundation, which was like pretty cool and pretty interesting. And it would be like really cool if that kind of technology was in a formula that you didn't have this shiny finish with, because this isn't for everyone. And who knows what's down the pipeline for Makeup by Mario. Maybe there will be a matte version that comes out. Maybe there will be a more middle of the road version that comes out somewhere down the line, like a different type of foundation, but like has the same kind of qualities. And when it comes to the mica, I feel like on the face, it doesn't read as like there's fine glitter particles in it. Like, it doesn't look like that. I don't think that it looks like that. I do think that's why we get this effect of wetness when light is hitting us with this foundation on. I think that's why it looks so glossy shining back at you, because I don't know that, like, it doesn't feel wet. It doesn't feel tacky on the skin. Like, it doesn't have that quality to me. It feels set. Like, it doesn't feel like it's gonna go anywhere. When I applied it with my hands, that I could see the remnant of the mica on my hands. Like, it looked like a lot of it, but it didn't look like that on my face. So it was like a weird experience to have. I also would like to come back. I don't think this formula would be really great for an office setting. Now, I always do like overlight heading tests just to see what a foundation might look like in that setting. I know a lot of people work in offices where the lighting isn't mood lighting and it doesn't like really cater to that. And I don't think that this foundation looked good under the light. And I think that, and I say that, kind of subjectively. I say that because my thought is I've had other foundations that I've done that test with and they looked okay. I think you need light coming from very specific areas for it to do its best work. But the overhead light, the light refraction and the blurring and all of the skin perfecting that it does, it doesn't work in overhead light. So something to keep in mind if you do work in an office setting and you were looking for this for a day-to-day foundation, I'm not sure that I would buy it for that. I think the best recommendation I could make is if you have a Sephora near you, I would go get a sample of this. I would not commit to buying a full one of these without trying it for a few days first, because this is a lot and it's very interesting to wear. And I think it's built for very specific people. And I even think people who like all of the things that I just said should still get it as a sample, as opposed to getting the full size of it and just kind of committing to the bit, because it's just such a strange thing. The last thing I will say is, like, it does have more coverage, but it did a really great job covering, and I felt like it looked very good on the skin. It didn't enhance pores or anything. I don't know that it blurred, but I do feel like when I put it on, my skin did look, I do feel as though whenever I reviewed the Hourglass Ambient Glow foundation, it didn't do anything for my skin. I felt like this did more for my skin than that foundation did. I recommend getting a sample of this if you were interested in it. I'm still gonna play with this foundation for a little bit longer, but I don't think it's gonna hold a space in my makeup collection. Like, I think it maybe has like another month tops of me playing around with it and seeing more about it. I just want to play with it a little bit longer to see if I swing one way or another with it. Like, if I swing, like, I end up really loving it or not really loving it or like hating it. I want to give myself a little more time to play around with it, but I do think that it's just a little bit polarizing and I don't really know where to land or what to tell you. So it's not really a raving review for me because I just think it's too specific. I think this foundation is too specific. Anyway, that's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you watched it all the way through and you enjoyed the content and you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video to get it into the eyes of people who might be interested in this review. And again, I'm also on patreon.com/hautemesstom if you would like to support me there. But again, no pressure to. That's that. I said a lot of things. And remember to follow your haute and you will find me. I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Forever.